Rise and shine, porcupines. It's Algebra Without Time, and I'm your host, Rosetti. So we're looking at Chapter 6, Unit 1, Operations on Functions, okay? So after watching this video, students will be able to multiply, divide, subtract, add polynomial functions. So the concept is operations on functions. The skill is being able to use the algebra to manipulate them to find those solutions. Okay? So what do you say we get started? All right. So let's take a look at number 1. So first of all, we have to understand what all that represents. F plus G, F minus G, F times G, F divided by G. So that's what they're telling you to do. They want you to take F of X, which is X plus 5, right? And they want you to add it to the G of X. That's what it represents. We would write it F plus G of X, and we're simply going to add these together. And we've done adding polynomials. We already know how to do this. It's just a fancy way of writing it. So we're going to combine like terms. That's all you're going to do here. So we add the x's together, you end up with 2x plus 1. Now, F minus G. What do they want you to do? They want you to take the two equations or functions and they want you to subtract them. And the only thing we have to remember here is when we are subtracting, we got to change the signs in the terms behind the minus sign. In those parentheses, we're going to make it a positive. We're going to make it an addition problem. We're going to change it to negative x and positive 4. Now we combine like terms, and guess what? We get 9. So F times G of X, right? They want you to multiply these two terms together. You're going to use FOIL. You're going to use the generic rectangle. You're going to use the vertical method. Whatever method you want to multiply these together. And in the end, you're going to get x squared minus 4x, right? And then 5x minus 20, you combine like terms, x squared plus x minus 20. All right, so now the division. And this is really the only thing I've got to make sure I emphasize with you. Okay, so when we set this up for division, there's nothing we can do here as far as the division goes. But what you are expected to do in Algebra 2 is tell me what values x could not equal. And x cannot equal 4 because that would make the denominator 0. So that's what you're expected to be able to tell me. And you can see x cannot equal 4 because we do not have a 0 in the denominator. We don't have that defined. So that's, even though we can't find a solution, you can tell me what it's not going to be. All right, here we go. Number 2. So we have 3x plus 1, 2x minus 3. We're going to add them together. Straightforward, right? Make sure you use the proper notation. I know there's math teachers out there that will they'll take points off of that, even if you did all the work correct. Okay, because math is about being exact. All right, so we add them together, what do you get? You get 2x minus 3, and I would put them underneath like that. I think that's a good idea so you don't make mistakes. 5x minus 2, that's f plus g of x. Now what about minus? So when we subtract, the only thing we have to remember is to change the signs behind the minus sign, right? And maybe that's something middle school teachers could do. They don't ever talk about the 1 in front of the parentheses unless it's a negative 1. Why not always show there's a 1 there so it doesn't come as such a shock to your system when you get to high school? But hey, that's another conversation. All right, so when we do this, we subtract and we get x plus 4. So f minus g of x is x plus 4. Make sure you use the proper notation. I know it might be kind of a pain to do that, but I'm telling you, teachers will take off for that. All right, f times g of x. So once again, we're going to multiply these. And here I did the vertical method, right? Just to show you a different way. So 3 times 1, 3 times 3. This is just like in 2nd or 3rd grade when you had to multiply 24 times 12 and you stacked it on top of each other. It's the exact same concept. So in the end, if you do it properly, everything you're going to combine is lined up. 6x squared minus 7x minus 3. So that's multiplied together. Now, what do we have left to do? We have to do the division. And once again, there won't be anything to do in terms of the actual division, but you need to be able to tell me what solution the equation cannot be. We don't know what it will be, but we know what it cannot be. Otherwise, there would be no solution. So 3x plus 1 over 2x minus 3. Set the denominator equal to 0 and solve it. It's just a two-step equation. whatever that number is, that's what, if you were solving this and you came up with that value, your answer would be no solution, because 0 in the denominator, as you know, is undefined. So tell me what it cannot be. All right? We don't know what it is, but we know for sure what it cannot be. So when I set it equal to 0, I add 3, divide by 2. So x cannot be positive 3 over 2. If it is, then you don't write that as an answer. You would write no solution. So you have to make sure you hold on to that. What it cannot be is what's important here. All right, so there's 3 and 4. I gave you the answers to that. I wanted to move on to number 5, because now they want you to do what they call the composition of functions, right? Pairing these functions. And it might look a little complicated at first, but it's really not. So pay attention. If I have to pause this, I will, to make sure you understand it. But I think if you just put on your thinking caps, boom, stop for a second, regroup, and pay attention, I think you'll get it. So how do I find the pairs for this? All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with the x of the g. So 0, right? For the first set of ordered pairs, the x is 0. Now I go up to the f and I find the x that's 0 that matches. Okay, and it's 0, 0. Then I take that y value of the f, and that's what I attach to the g. So the first pair is 0, -2, right? All right, so let me see, let's do another one. Look, -2, I match it up, right, to the 0. And what's my coordinate gonna be? It's gonna be -2, 0. All right, so I may have to pause this here for you to be able to really understand this. I'm gonna let this play just a minute, and then I'm gonna stop this and we're gonna take a look at it, okay? So let me get this set up. What did I say? Start with the x in the g, okay? So I'm gonna pause this right here. I wanna make sure that we got this. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. Look at, I'm starting with the x in the g, which is 0. Now, what's the y of that is 4. So what I do is I look at the f, I find the 4 in the x. I take the 4 and it matches up to the top ordered pair 4, 2. So the 4 matches to the x and the 4, or the f and 4, and I use the 2 for the y. So this first will be 0, 2. Okay? So we're going to start this back up again. So I want you to take a look at the screen, right? Looking at your screen carefully now. Now, we're taking the g of f. First, let me say, you have to look at this, the way they give you these notations, whatever the second letter is. See how we're doing g of f? F is the second one. That means you're going to start with f and substitute it into the g, okay? And so f of g, you start with g. This is g of f, we're starting with f, okay? So I'm starting with f. The first x coordinate of f is 0, right? The y coordinate of the f is 0. Now, match the y coordinate of f, which is 0, to the x coordinate somewhere of g. So where in g is 0, 0 for x? Well, right below it is 0, 4. So those match up. We're going to take the y value of g now, and we're going to attach it to the 0. So the coordinate for the first coordinate for g of f will be 0 from the f, that's the x, and then the 4 of y. And they are connected because the y of f is 0 and the x of g is 0. That's how you determine, that's how you find the value. That's the parent, right? So before I start this, let's just look at the next one. So we're going to take 4 of the f, right? That's the x is 4. Then the y is -2. Now look below. Where is there an x of -2? Well, in the second set of ordered pairs, -2, 0. So I'm going to pair up the 4 from f with the 0 from g. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's all we have time for today, boys and girls. I hope it helped. And remember, math, math, math. Get out and do some math.